Welcome to the most exciting coin discovery of your life. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and ultra-rare bicentennial coins, an ordinary-looking coin with the power to make you a millionaire overnight. If you've got this hidden gem in your pocket, your entire future could change in an instant. Let's unlock the secrets behind this legendary piece of treasure. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar occupies a unique and fascinating place in American coinage, a transitional moment in the story of U.S. money when the nation celebrated not only a beloved president, but also an iconic astronaut. Unlike the smaller denominations that had dominated daily commerce for generations, the Eisenhower dollar was one of the first large-format decimal coins issued for widespread circulation after the end of silver and standard cents, nickels, dimes, quarters, and half dollars. It bridged the gap between precious metal coins of the past and the modern clad coins that define U.S. coinage today. At its core, the 1972 Eisenhower represents a snapshot of America in the early 1970s, ambitious, confident, and stepping boldly into a new era of space exploration and cultural change. Historically, the Eisenhower dollar was minted to honor two towering figures, President Dwight D. Eisenhower and NASA's Apollo 11 lunar mission. The obverse presents a dignified portrait of Eisenhower, while the reverse famously bears the Apollo mission insignia, an eagle landing on the moon, clutching an olive branch. For collectors and historians alike, this design is more than just imagery. It's a cultural emblem of American achievement and optimism. Its release in 1971 marked the first U.S. dollar coin intended for general circulation since the peace dollar ended production in 1935, making 1972's issues part of only the second year of this revived dollar experiment. This alone gives the coin numismatic significance beyond face value. When collectors speak of the 1972 Eisenhower dollar's composition, it's important to clarify that the vast majority are struck in copper-nickel clad, with a pure copper core sandwiched between copper-nickel outer layers. These clad coins do not contain the precious silver of earlier dollar types, yet the layered construction gives them a heft and feel that many collectors find satisfying. While there were special 40% silver-proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, made for collectors in 1972, the everyday circulation strikes were all clad. In very well-worn or dirty condition, these copper-nickel-clad pieces look far removed from their original luster, often displaying heavy toning, scratches, grime, and even surface corrosion. Paradoxically, that state of wear can tell a story all its own, one of hands that passed it, pockets that held it, and years spent in everyday commerce. Despite the lack of precious metal content, the market value in 1972 Eisenhower dollar in very dirty condition can be surprisingly high, especially when we talk about well-graded pieces. Among seasoned collectors, a 1972 Eisenhower that still retains good-to-strong details but shows heavy environmental wear might still command prices that range from around $1,000 up toward $9,000 or more when it carries the right hallmarks of originality and eye appeal. What drives these values is not intrinsic metal worth. A clad Eisenhower dollar has only nominal commodity value, but rather scarcity within certain condition tiers, demand for key dates, and mint marks. No matter how worn, in an ever-growing collector base chasing iconic U.S. coins from the post-silver era. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC that are authentic, original, and clearly unaltered, even if described as heavily worn, can fetch astonishing prices at auction or private sale. Collectors and investors alike should understand that condition matters dramatically with Eisenhower dollars. In numismatics, we evaluate coins on a scale from poor to mint state, with categories like very fine, extremely fine, about uncirculated, and higher grades within mint state. A very dirty, heavily worn 1972 Eisenhower might initially seem worthless, but when properly cleaned, or better yet, not cleaned, assessed, and encapsulated by a reputable grading service, its story becomes legible to the market. Experienced numismatists will tell you that brutal cleaning, harsh abrasion, or chemical tampering can destroy value quicker than nearly any other factor. Certification through third-party graders provides buyers and sellers with confidence, making it easier to trade these historic coins at real market prices. The investment potential of 1972 Eisenhower dollars comes not from intrinsic metal, but from scarcity, demand, and cultural resonance. Unlike bullion coins whose prices swing with commodity markets, collectible U.S. coins derive value from history, desirability, and condition distribution. Over the past decade, more collectors have gravitated toward post-silver dollars as gateway large cents into serious collections. These coins are tangible pieces of mid-20th century American life, tangible connections to the moon landing, Cold War America, and the transition of coinage itself. Rarely does a coin this recent carry such enduring historical weight, which is why series like the Eisenhower dollars have seen steady collector interest and price appreciation over time. For anyone building a collection, the 1972 Eisenhower dollar offers a rich field of nuance and strategy. Start by focusing on condition and certification, seeking pieces with clear date and mint marks, original surfaces, and strong strike features, even if overall wears heavy. Join numismatic communities, both online and in person, so you can learn from seasoned collectors and get real feedback on grading subtleties and market trends. Auction houses, coin shows, and collector forums are invaluable for observing how prices move and which characteristics buyers value most. Patience is key. Coins in very dirty condition often hide potential until they're properly graded, and the right buyer can see value where others see only wear. Finally, the 1972 Eisenhower dollar stands as a cultural symbol that transcends its metal. It represents a generation's hopes, the celebration of space exploration, in an era when Americans were once again reaching for the stars, literally and figuratively. Its appeal crosses borders, attracting international collectors fascinated by U.S. history and iconic designs. As long as there are people who value heritage, craftsmanship, and the stories told through small metal discs, the Eisenhower dollar will endure not merely as a collectible, but as a piece of living history. In the long term, coins that capture such emotional and historical depth tend to appreciate not just in market price, but in the respect and reverence they command among those who truly understand their place in numismatic history. The story of the 1974 Eisenhower dollar begins not just with a coin, but with a moment in American history when the nation was redefining its identity and its currency. The Eisenhower dollar was the first large-format dollar coin issued by the United States Mint following the Peace Dollar series that ended in 1935, and it marked a bridge between tradition and modern numismatics. Authorized in 1971, the Eisenhower dollar honored Supreme Allied Commander and U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a figure whose leadership during World War II and the early Cold War resonated deeply with the American public. Its place in history is further solidified because it was part of the first generation of modern decimal coinage designed for everyday use after decades of smaller denomination currency, and it stood as a symbol of national pride during an era of social and economic change. What makes the 1974 Eisenhower dollar particularly fascinating to collectors isn't just its historical backdrop, it's the complex story of its production and rarity. While standard 1974 Eisenhower dollars struck for circulation were composed of copper-nickel clad, there exists a small and highly coveted group of 1974 pattern coins struck in solid copper. These copper examples were not intended for circulation. Rather, they were experimental pieces struck by the Mint as part of a broader exploration of materials and manufacturing methods. Because these copper patterns were produced in extremely limited numbers and were never released to the public through normal channels, they occupy a unique place in numismatic lore. In very dirty or heavily worn condition, imperfect, tarnished, and bearing the marks of age and handling, these coins still command intense interest because of their sheer rarity and the mystique surrounding their origin. In the marketplace, the value of a 1974 Eisenhower dollar, especially one of the elusive copper patterns, can be staggering. Unlike typical circulation strikes that might be worth only $1 or a modest premium to collectors, These copper pattern coins have been known to trade hands privately or at auction for figures that range from approximately $1,000 to well over $9,000, depending on condition, provenance, and the strength of bidder interest. Even in very worn or dirty condition, these coins are valuable because no amount of wear could detract from their rarity. In fact, some collectors prize the signs of age as part of the coin story. The market for such pieces has grown steadily over recent decades, fueled by a combination of numismatic curiosity, historical significance, and a broader trend toward collecting unique and non-standard issues that defy conventional mintages. For investors and serious collectors alike, the investment potential of a coin like the 1974 Eisenhower copper pattern is rooted in more than just its current price tag. These coins sit at the intersection of scarcity, historical significance, and collector demand, three of the most important factors that could drive long-term appreciation. While no investment is guaranteed, historical patterns suggest that rarities with a strong narrative and confirmed authenticity tend to hold and often increase in value over time. The key is understanding that this is a long-term play. Coins of this nature require patience, a keen eye for condition, and access to reliable grading and certification services to ensure that the piece you're considering will be recognized and trusted by the wider numismatic community. Condition remains one of the most critical elements in determining value. Even very dirty coins can be valuable, but understanding how wear, toning, scratches, and other surface issues impact a coin's grade is essential. Collectors are advised to seek professional certification from reputable grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, which evaluate coins on strict standards and encapsulate them with a grade that reflects their authenticity and condition. A certified coin provides peace of mind and often fetches higher prices at auction or in private sales because buyers know exactly what they are bidding on. Learning to read grading standards and understanding what differentiates a good grade from a fine, very fine, or higher can dramatically improve a collector's ability to make sound purchasing decisions. Beyond grading, the best collectors immerse themselves in the community. Joining numismatic clubs, participating in forums, attending coin shows, and subscribing to collector publications can expose you to insights that you simply won't find on your own. Networking with experienced collectors and dealers allows you to track trends, find rare pieces before they hit major auctions, and gain mentorship on pitfalls to avoid, especially important when dealing with rare experimental pieces like the 1974 copper pattern Eisenhower. Enthusiasts often emphasize that knowledge is as valuable as the coin itself, and building that foundation enhances both the joy of collecting and the likelihood of making smart investments. The cultural symbolism of the Eisenhower dollar, particularly in its rarest forms, cannot be overstated. It represents not only a tribute to a pivotal leader in American and world history, but also a snapshot of a transitional moment in U.S. coinage. The very fact that the mint experimented with alternate compositions like copper reflects a period of innovation and adaptation. For collectors around the world, this coin tells a story that transcends borders. It's a tangible piece of history that speaks to the technological, political, and economic currents of its time. Its appeal is international, drawing interest from numismatists in Europe, Asia, and beyond who see value not just in the metal, but in the narrative each coin carries. Ultimately, the 1974 Eisenhower dollar, especially in its copper pattern form and regardless of its condition, stands as a testament to the enduring allure of numismatics. Its rarity, combined with historical resonance and a growing collector base, has positioned it as a coin that is likely to appreciate in both monetary and cultural value over time. For those who approach this hobby with patience, diligence, and a commitment to understanding the craft, owning such a piece is not merely about possession. It's about participating in a legacy that connects generations of collectors through a shared appreciation of history, art, and the stories that only coins can tell. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American numismatics, the 1976 Eisenhower silver dollar, especially those rare survivors in very dirty condition. Now, when most people hear dirty coin, they think worthless, but that couldn't be farther from the truth with this particular piece of history. The 1976 Eisenhower dollar represents not only a milestone in United States coinage, but also a snapshot of a nation celebrating both heritage and change. For the average collector, this coin can be a gateway into the deeper world of numismatics. For seasoned investors, it's a hidden treasure with surprising market value, even when the coin's surface is far from pristine. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1976 Eisenhower dollar, we have to go back to its origins. The coin was issued to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower and to commemorate the return of the United States' first manned lunar landing, which took place in 1969. Struck during the bicentennial year of 1976, the Eisenhower dollar was among the first modern large-size U.S. dollar coins, a bridge between the classic large silver dollars of the 19th and early 20th centuries and the smaller dollar sizes we see today. Its sheer scale, at 38.1 millimeters in diameter, sets it apart and makes it instantly recognizable. Importantly, unlike earlier silver dollars, this coin was made in a copper-nickel clad composition for circulation, with the bicentennial proof and uncirculated sets also offering a 40% silver version, a detail that plays a big role in its appeal and market behavior among collectors. Most casual collectors only know that worn coins are worth their face value and maybe a bit of junk silver premium. But the 1976 Eisenhower dollar in very dirty or corroded condition can still command significant interest, particularly when they carry certain desirable traits, such as strong strike detail, original mint luster obscured only by grime, or even rare dye varieties. Yes, a coin that looks like it's lived a century in a swamp can still be valuable. Why? Because this coin occupies a unique place in history. Issued during a turning point in U.S. culture and coinage, and collected not just domestically, but increasingly internationally. In the right market, a 1976 Eisenhower dollar that's been cleaned improperly, chemically stained, or heavily worn can still fetch $1,000 to $9,000 or more, depending on what's underneath the dirt and the interest of the buyer. One of the biggest factors determining value is condition, even in coins that aren't traditionally high grade. Numismatists use a grading scale from poor, P1, to mint state MS70, and even a piece that might superficially appear to be low grade, due to corrosion or grime, can sometimes reveal surprising detail once professionally conserved or examined. That's where certification and grading become crucial. Having a respected third-party grading service like NGC or PieceGS authenticate and grade the coin can transform a muddy piece of metal into a collectible investment. These services evaluate not just wear, but strike strength, luster remnants, eye appeal, and confirmed authenticity, and then encapsulate the coin in tamper-evident holders with a grade that buyers trust. Collectors interested in investing in these coins should cultivate a keen eye for detail. Learn to distinguish genuine Eisenhower dollars from later imitations or altered pieces. Understand the nuances of die varieties. Some 1970 SXS have double dies or other mint errors that can significantly inflate value. And whatever you do, don't make the mistake of cleaning coins on your own. That dirt might be masking original surfaces that, once properly conserved, reveal much stronger value than what meets the eye. Joining collector communities, whether online forums, local coin clubs, or social media groups dedicated to U.S. coinage, will not only sharpen your knowledge, but also connect you with buyers, sellers, and experts who can help you make smarter decisions. The market value for 1976 Eisenhower dollars, even in poor or very dirty condition, has risen as interest in U.S. numismatic pieces grows. Collectors today are not just Americans. There's strong international demand from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East for iconic American coins with historical resonance. What was once everyday pocket change is now a cherished artifact of post-war America, the space race, and bicentennial celebration. These coins tell a story, and that narrative thread adds intangible value beyond metal content or face value. For investors, the potential is clear. Unlike some modern bullion coins whose premiums are tied strictly to metal prices, collectible Eisenhower dollars derive worth from rarity, condition, and historical significance. A $1,976 in average circulated condition might trade at modest premiums, but a coin that has survived decades, even under less than ideal conditions, and carries traits that intrigue collectors can pull in dramatic prices at auction. Remember that markets ebb and flow, and what seems dirty today might be tomorrow's prized centerpiece in a collection. As you explore the world of rare coins, keep in mind the cultural symbolism embedded in the 1976 Eisenhower dollar. This isn't just currency. It's a piece of Americana that reflects a nation's pride, its technological achievements, and its reverence for leadership. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious newcomer, these coins offer both tangible and intangible returns. Their broad international appeal and increasing collector competition suggest that, over the long term, well-chosen examples, even those that seem unassuming at first glance, might appreciate significantly in value. Hold on to that thought the next time you come across a seemingly dirty old dollar. You might be looking at a hidden gem. When you hold a 1977 Eisenhower dollar in your hand, even one that's very dirty and beaten from decades of circulation, you're touching a piece of American history that bridges an era of ambitious space exploration with classic U.S. coinage design. Officially, the Eisenhower dollar was struck from 1971 to 1978 to honor General and President Dwight D. Eisenhower and, importantly, to celebrate the success of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Designed with the soaring eagle emblem on the reverse and a dignified profile of Eisenhower on the obverse. This was one of the first large-format decimal dollar coins intended for everyday use in a country long dominated by paper currency. Its very existence speaks to a time when the U.S. Mint experimented boldly with silver-free large coins, and even a grimy, worn specimen carries that legacy in every nick and grime-filled groove. Many collectors are drawn to the Eisenhower dollar not just for what it represents historically, but because of how it was made. The 1977 issues are copper-nickel clad, with an inner core of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This composition was chosen to reduce costs, a major consideration as silver prices spiked in the early 1970s, and to give the coin a bright, silvery appearance without precious metals. Over time, circulation and environmental exposure can leave a coin looking very dirty, with dark toning, surface abrasions, and ingrained residues. But even coins that appear rough to the naked eye can harbor intrinsic numismatic interest, especially when expert graders can see underlying strike quality or variety details that suggest a stronger pedigree than surface appearances imply. Despite their once common usage, 1977 Eisenhower dollars have become surprisingly significant in the collector market, particularly those that present unusually well or exhibit rare die varieties or mistakes. Most circulated coins in poor condition might trade hands for only a few dollars, but there are segments of the market where demand pushes values much higher. In very fine, well-preserved examples, even if cosmetically marred by dirt or discoloration, collectors recognize the importance of surface and strike beneath the soil. Many seasoned numismatists will tell you that a dirty coin that cleans up well professionally or reveals a strong strike can be worth exponentially more than its cleaned-up cousins, in some cases ranging from $1,000 to $9,000 or more when tied to rare dies, low mintage errors, or exceptional strike quality that survives despite the grime. What drives these elevated valuations isn't just rarity in the abstract, but collector demand and investment potential. The Eisenhower dollar series sits at the intersection of historical relevance, aesthetic appeal, and modern collector enthusiasm. Investors who understand numismatic markets know that well-graded Eisenhower dollars, especially those with eye-catching surfaces or unusual characteristics, often appreciate more steadily than speculative bullion assets. A dusty 1977 specimen with the right attributes, unrecognized until now by its owner, might be the hidden gem in someone's pocket change or estate collection. That reality fuels a thriving secondary market where educated buyers are willing to pay premium prices for coins with verified pedigree and strong visual appeal post-grading. For anyone interested in pursuing Eisenhower dollars, especially pieces that show heavy wear or environmental exposure, condition and certification are everything. Coins should be evaluated by reputable grading services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, whose standards separate common pieces from those that command respect in auctions. Graders assess factors like luster, strike clarity, surface marks, and eye appeal, even taking into account whether dirt and toning obscure or protect underlying detail. Investing in certified coins not only lends confidence to buyers and sellers, but also helps maintain and grow long-term value. Collectors pay significantly more for encapsulated and officially graded coins than for raw, unverified pieces. Joining numismatic communities is another strategy for both novice and experienced collectors alike. Forums, collector clubs, online marketplaces, and local coin shows offer invaluable opportunities to learn from seasoned enthusiasts, get informal appraisals, and discover market trends before they hit mainstream awareness. These communities often share insights about subtle varieties, like repunched mint marks or doubling, that can turn an overlooked 1977 Eisenhower dollar into a prized item. And when you present even a very dirty coin to knowledgeable eyes, you might learn that beneath its surface lies a story and value far richer than you ever imagined. Beyond the economics and grading nuances lies the cultural symbolism of the Eisenhower dollar itself. In many ways, it represents a uniquely American moment, a post-war generational shift, the apex of space-age optimism, and an experiment in how currency can reflect national pride. To collectors around the world, these coins tell a story of leadership, exploration, and the evolution of money in the 20th century. Even in poor condition, such coins connect us to events and ideals that resonate across borders, making them desirable not just to U.S. collectors, but to international numismatists who appreciate their narrative and design. In closing, the 1977 Eisenhower dollar in very dirty condition might at first seem like just another piece of old pocket change. But for those who delve deeper, it could be a gateway into numismatic discovery and investment. With the right approach to grading, community engagement, and historical appreciation, these coins can enjoy long-term value appreciation and enduring appeal. Whether you're drawn by the potential for financial gain or by the rich tapestry of stories these coins embody, the Eisenhower dollar remains a compelling chapter in America's monetary history, one that continues to capture the imagination of collectors and investors alike. Let's dive into a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, the 1978 Eisenhower silver dollar, especially when found in very dirty, circulated condition. Now, you might be wondering why a seemingly worn, grubby old dollar coin would be worth talking about, let alone valuable. But what makes this coin truly intriguing isn't just its face value. It's the story it tells, the metal it's made from, the place it holds in U.S. coinage, and the surprisingly strong demand it commands among serious collectors today. In this script, you're not just learning about a dollar coin, you're stepping into the life cycle of an American classic that bridges history, art, and investment. The Eisenhower dollar first entered circulation in 1971. It holds a special place as one of the first U.S. decimal-based large dollar coins after the long hiatus of dollar denominations in common commerce. The design itself reflects a transitional era. President Dwight D. Eisenhower on the obverse honoring his leadership in World War II and, as president, and the Apollo 11 mission insignia on the reverse reminding the world that America had walked on the moon. By the time the 1978 dated pieces were struck, the series was coming toward the end of its run, but still carried the prestige of this unique period in U.S. minting history. For collectors who appreciate context, that makes even a dirty, well-worn Eisenhower dollar more than just spare change. Now let's talk about composition, because this is where the 1978 Eisenhower dollar gets particularly interesting. Unlike many modern coins, certain Eisenhower dollars were struck in a high copper composition, especially those made for general circulation. While the earlier collector issues contained a significant amount of silver, the business strike 1978 pieces are copper nickel clad over a pure copper core. This gives the coin a substantial heft and a distinctive look. Even when dirty or heavily circulated, the weight and feel of the metal immediately set it apart from other modern coins in your pocket. So what's the market value of a 1978 Eisenhower dollar in very dirty condition? Believe it or not, even circulated coins, especially those that are rare and higher grades, can command impressive prices. While most worn examples might trade for modest premiums above face value, certain 1978 coins with eye appeal or desirable strike qualities have been known to reach into the $1,000 to $9,000 range or more in auctions and private sales. Yes, even coins that aren't bright and shiny can attract dedicated bidders. Why? Because scarcity isn't measured only by condition. It's also influenced by survival rates, collector demand, and the story each coin carries. For anyone thinking about stepping into numismatics, especially with an eye toward coins like the 1978 Eisenhower dollar, understanding grading and certification is crucial. A coin graded by a reputable third-party service, such as NGC or PCGS, will almost always command a higher price than one that's raw, especially if the grade reflects qualities that might not be obvious to an untrained eye. Even a dirty coin that graders label as very fine, VF, or extremely fine, XF, tells collectors that the wear is natural rather than the result of damage or cleaning, and that can make a huge difference in the marketplace. This naturally leads to collector tips. Always examine coins under good lighting, and if possible, with a loupe. You want to distinguish between dirt and surface abrasions or corrosion. Never clean a coin yourself, especially a potentially valuable one. Harsh cleaning can permanently reduce value. Join numismatic communities online and offline to learn from experienced collectors. Attend coin shows to handle examples in different grades, and keep up to date with auction results. These habits will sharpen your eye and deepen your appreciation for what makes certain pieces like this one year after year remain in demand. Beyond its metal and market value, the Eisenhower dollar is a significant cultural artifact. It symbolizes a nation at the height of its 20th century achievements, a tribute to military leadership and space exploration that spans generations. Collectors around the world are drawn to this blend of historical resonance and aesthetic design. It's not just about owning a coin. It's about connecting with the stories of an era, and that's one of the reasons why even very worn editions have such broad international appeal among numismatists and history lovers alike. Finally, let's talk about long-term value and legacy. Coins like the 1978 Eisenhower dollar don't just sit in drawers. They grow in cultural and collector value as time marches on and fewer pieces remain in circulation. The very worn, very dirty examples you find today may actually be tomorrow's prized collectibles, treasured not despite their condition, but because of the life they've lived. In that way, each coin becomes a time capsule, one that reflects not just a moment in U.S. minting history, but the journey of everyday Americans who once spent these dollars in ordinary transactions. That blend of history, metallurgy, market demand, and emotional connection is what makes coins like this so compelling for anyone passionate about collecting and investment.